Is there a right way of watching a film? Well, I'll come across as a big jerk if I build up this talk only to say yes in the end. So I'll go ahead and ruin the climax for you first. The answer to that question is no, there isn't. But to properly realize this answer, let's try to jump into what makes the act of watching the film so special. There's a famous myth about one of the very first film screenings in the world. The film was a 50-second documentary called The Arrival of a Train at La Ciotat. And it's said that when it had its first public screening, it terrified the audience. Fear and panic took over an unsuspecting group of people who believed the train was truly moving towards them. Now, whether or not the myth is true, I've always found the story to be extremely fascinating. And I don't doubt it even for a little bit, by the way, because I still have some friends who scream, howl, and talk to the characters while watching a film even today. It's in stark contrast to me, as they find me being frustratingly quiet during a film, even though the emotions within me are exploding with the greatest intensity. So which of these is right? Well, the truth is that they're both the same. Only the expression is different. In both cases, films are eliciting strong emotional responses in the viewer. While one is expressing it in the form of silence, the other is choosing the medium of voice and words to express what they're feeling. It's very similar to art, where mediums of expression keep on changing but the ideas remain the same. Even when the medium of expression is the same, two different artists would present the same idea into completely different ways. For many film viewers, the film watching experience does not end with the closing credits, myself included. While some of them will carry it until they ride back home, some might keep it even closer. They'll think about it for days, discuss it, share stories about it on social media, read about it, get inspired by it, or even disgusted by it. And finally, they may write about it, or design illustrations about it, or develop fan theories about it. And this is the point where the act of watching a film is no more limited to just being similar to art, because it becomes art itself. While other forms of art are an expression of our emotional responses to real life, film appreciation becomes an expression of our emotional responses to the life that we experienced on the screen. What is film if not life taking place in front of us, where we aren't the subjects but the spectators? A life where we don't have to face the consequences of the events happening around us, but we get to enjoy them, laugh at them, cry at them, be scared of them, be horrified by them. It's everything that life is, but without any direct effects on us. So it's only natural that cinema inspires art just like life. One of my biggest driving forces for starting Humans of Cinema was that I used to have too many ideas and thoughts after watching films and shows that I wanted to share with the world. I knew they were of value because they were personal to me. They were ideas that only I could have come up with because my interpretations of the film were solely based on my own life experiences. Similarly, somebody else would have completely different takeaways from the same film because of the way they see the world, especially at that particular time in their life. I especially realized this when I was talking to a friend after watching Imtiaz Ali's Tamasha. While I was deeply moved by the film's commentary on the need to follow your own passion, for my friend it was a story about the complexities of a relationship. And once you'd get to know us, you'd know exactly why our emotional responses were so different. Because while I was at a time in my life where I was unhappy and uncertain about my career plans, my friend was coping with the grief of an ugly breakup. So I realized that everyone needs to be able to express their love for cinema and express their love as well as their interpretations of a film when they need to do it. I realized that art based on cinema matters and something needed to be done about it. Now, just because there are some people who like to make art out of their cinema watching experience does not mean that those who don't and the cinema watching experience of those who don't are any less valid, because the beauty of watching a film isn't just in analyzing it or writing about it. It's also about being in the moment. Film watching, after all, is also a meditative experience, our gateway to an alternate dimension that can elevate our consciousness by making us forget about the problems in our lives. Sometimes just a reminder of the finer things that we often take for granted. So while some people may be interested in pondering over a film for days, weeks, or months, ripping into every little detail that may or may not be in the film, some people may just be interested in watching a film to break away from the mundaneness of their own lives. But since the world of films is so similar to life, it's also filled with as many complexities. So even though I said before that there is no right way to watch a film, there are some layers to it that need to be addressed. I'm still sticking to my answer though. The fortunate or unfortunate reality of cinema is that the impact that it has isn't just individualistic. In fact, because of its mass appeal, it may be the most influential form of art ever made. It can massively shape our society's conventions, perceptions, and opinions. Cinema has had widespread socio-political implications over the course of history, sometimes inspiring positive change, while sometimes leading to damaging consequences. It has been used to fuel political propaganda. It has contributed to a culture of objectification of women, and it has also at some point encouraged prejudice against marginalized communities. So it's of value to look at movies as more than just a vessel of entertainment. This is where it becomes important to encourage a culture of critical thinking with respect to watching films as well. Even though films are a collaborative project, they are mostly driven by a singular vision, that of the filmmaker. The filmmaker thus has a lot of part in being able to influence and impose their worldview on the audience through the medium of moving images. They do this with the help of colors, lights, camera work, music, and all the other elements of cinema which subconsciously leave an imprint on us. So even though it's not even remotely important for everyone to contribute to the art of watching a film, I think engaging with it in some way can help us in making sure that we don't get influenced by the ideology of a film too easily. Reading reviews, essays, seeing videos, analysis about the film after watching it can help you in making a much more informed, mindful, and responsible opinion of the film. It's possible that your own worldview and sensibilities may not allow you to identify certain aspects of a film that somebody else may be able to because of their own background or their own education on the subject. At this point, I think one more thing that needs to be acknowledged is that talking about film appreciation in itself could be an act rooted in privilege. Not everyone would have the time, access, or resources to sit and read reviews about a film or essays about a film or even be interested in it. So the politics of the art of watching a film becomes as important as the politics of films themselves. I know, just the many complexities of the world that we live in. Now there are of course many more merits of engaging with film appreciation. In my own experience, reading about films has been one of the most enriching and enlightening exercises for the past few years. They've not only helped me in developing a better understanding of the world we live in, but at the same time they have enhanced my love for films. Coming across a myriad of different explanations, interpretations of the same film makes you realize what a powerful storytelling tool cinema can be. You can show a zombie film, which can be an allegory for the injustices being meted out by a fascist regime, such as In a Train to Busan, or a horror film, a horror comedy film in fact, which can be a commentary on generations of patriarchy, such as in Stree. Sometimes the metaphors intended by the filmmakers are so seamlessly seeped into the narrative that it would be impossible for you to infer it until you read about it. So just to give you an example of the same, I would like to share my experience with Iranian filmmaker Abbas Kiarostami's Taste of Cherry. So the film has a very simple but very profound premise. A middle-aged man named Mr. Badi is driving around the city of Tehran looking for a person to bury him the next day after he takes his own life. It was an extraordinary film and I couldn't stop thinking about it and about the various commentaries of the film about life and death that the film tried to talk about, and I pretty much thought that was it. I was under the delusion that it was a pretty simplistic, straightforward film interspersed with themes of some great philosophical reflections. But I couldn't have been more wrong, because once I started reading about the film and reading interpretations about it by different authors, I realized how constricted my viewpoint was. There were various political, cultural, as well as religious interpretations of the film that my unfamiliarity with the political landscape of Iran did not allow me to understand. But once I did read all of them, it didn't just amplify my admiration for the film, but it also taught me lessons on subjects that I was largely uneducated about before. So I had two major takeaways about engaging with film appreciation after this whole experience. The first was that film appreciation itself can help you learn about new things about the world that even the film itself may not have been able to communicate. And the second was that in unusual circumstances such as oppressive regimes, cinema can become a very powerful tool and effective medium to make a statement. But it has to be done very discreetly and smartly with the use of unsuspicious metaphors. So being able to analyze films, or just reading those analyses, can almost act like a device to decipher those cryptic messages. It's like being in war, and film appreciation becomes your Turing machine. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is, the art of watching a film doesn't just have to be limited to the act of watching the film. If any of the things that I spoke about today are interesting for you, you can expand your film watching experience beyond the film itself by reading about them as much as possible and from as many different sources as possible. Discuss them with your friends, engage in discourse, and if all this begins to feel fun, write about them. Try writing about them. Just write anything, or express your love for them in whichever way you prefer. Think about your own takeaways from the film as well as your problems with it. Think about how the architecture of that psychological thriller was designed to add to the claustrophobia in the film, such as in a Stanley Kubrick film maybe. Or the colors were arranged to enhance the quirkiness of a coming-of-age film, such as in a film by Wes Anderson. How the music was used at a particular moment to tug at your emotions, such as in a Zoe Akhtar film. Or how the camera work made you think about the magnificence of the universe, such as in a Tarkovsky film. Also think about what the film is trying to communicate about the world that we live in. Is it offering any meaningful philosophical reflections? Is it adding any value to the socio-political discourse in the country? Or instead, is it still ingrained in the same regressive ideas that harm marginalized communities and groups as well as the society at large? These are pertinent questions that you'll start thinking with time as you embark on this boundless journey. But at the same time, remember that there is no right way to watch a film. If you think someone may be watching a film that could be promoting irresponsible ideas, introduce them to film appreciation with kindness, empathy, and respect. Films are literally the physical manifestation of empathy because they allow you to look at the world through somebody else's eyes. So you may watch thousands of films, but if you aren't empathetic yourself, all that time invested in films has gone to waste. Thank you, and yeah, just go watch a film your way.